President Trump has said a few things about Taiwan's defense. He expects Taiwan to invest more in its defense. Do you think that will become a sticking point in relations between the US and Taiwan?
So this has been a long time President Trump initiative to ensure that any defense commitment that the US makes, even a soft commitment like the Taiwan Relations Act, which says that we'll provide arms to Taiwan of a defensive nature to ensure the balance of military power across the strait, that any of those commitments come with a substantial investment by that ally and partner in their own defense. So is it a sticking point? I hope not. And I don't think so. I think Taiwan will do what it needs to do to ensure that President Trump is satisfied with its defense commitments. Another thing that Taiwan can do is to reframe this discussion. One part of this discussion is just about the balance of military power, like what arms is Taiwan buying, et cetera. Some of this conversation is about military preparedness. Is the Taiwan military up to the task of repelling a blockade, let's say, a likely scenario, repelling a blockade for a week or two until assistance can arrive from other places?
Several experts have said that 2025 will be the year when China escalates tensions in the Taiwan Straits. They have said that there could be moderate tensions in the strait that could lead to wider conflict. How do you think President Trump will respond to these tensions?
I'll say also that I agree with experts that 2025 is going to be a tough year for Taiwan. I do think that there is some kind of pent up frustration that Beijing feels due to the election of Lai Ching-te, who they see as an independent separatist. So I do think there's been some holding back while the US election was determined, and that holding period is going to be over. There's also a high value in Beijing for kind of testing and probing these responses from the Trump administration. What will the cabinet do is a great question.
And just to probe you on that last point that you made, in the new cabinet that Trump has appointed, there are people like Marco Rubio, who is a self-proclaimed China hawk, while there are some other officials who have very different opinion on relations with Taiwan. How do you think this internal dynamic in Trump's cabinet will inform Trump's foreign policy?
The overall policy of the Trump administration will be decided by President Trump himself with inputs from various members of his cabinet or highly influential people. And it's very difficult to predict in advance what mix of inputs Trump will receive in order to make decisions on these types of important strategic issues. So we know that Marco Rubio is very hawkish on China. And we know that incoming National Security Advisor Walsh is very hawkish on China. That will create some pressure inside the Trump administration to respond forcefully to any provocation in the Taiwan Strait. On the other hand, again, I think there is a huge influence of the business community, the international global business community, in Donald Trump's cabinet as well, and the tech community. And those people may advocate for a more moderate approach because their interests are just slightly different than the interests of a Senator Rubio or Senator Walsh.